Hello and welcome to Sports by Compian. My name, of course, is Stephen Compian, your very own host, and I'm joined here by my handsome co-host, the most powerful of editors and just guys in general. Mr. Dan Gill is here in the house with us on Sports by Compian. How are you, Dan?
That was quite an introduction. They never cease to fail. But I'm doing well. Busy weekend of sports. Can't wait to break these down. Got a lot to run through, and It was some things happened that I didn't see coming.
It was an interesting last weekend of NFL, and we are going to hop right into it, guys. We got the whole week to recap here, so we're going to pop into that. But we also stay tuned at the end because we are also going to be talking about the United Football League, Dan. It's a thing. It's happening. It's coming back, baby. More powerful than ever, some would say. Many would say. And anyway, we're going to be covering that as well, people. So get excited. Like and subscribe to content because we're out here putting it out all the time for you guys because we love it. And you should love it too. Get excited. Anyway, Dan Rooney, you ready for this sports talk? We had the Steelers hosting the
They went to Baltimore.
They went to Baltimore. So it was in Baltimore. The Steelers have officially swept the Ravens, which makes no sense in any reality. But they won this game. Dan, this game was pouring rain, pretty ugly. I think Jalen Ward had like 5 fumbles or something, and like they recovered like 3 of them. It was a wild game.
Yeah, I mean,
you should have bet the over on Najee Harris with the run game because that was pretty much the only life throughout the day.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a wet mess, for sure. And I expected a little more out of the Ravens defense. I get the Ravens were resting a lot of people. The Steelers, This was a must-win game for them, but I mean, sure, raining games, you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
But I still just I didn't think for what they left in, Mason Rudolph was going to get much together, but it is what it is, and they made the most of it. I mean, I think the big takeaway from this game is they're going to more than likely going to be without T.J. Watt now.
Oh my God, that was such a travesty, dude. And it was like his own teammate dropped into him. But first of all, when I see that play, I'm like, why was T.J. Watt even in coverage? The dude is leading the league in sacks, and you drop him into coverage? Why, Dan? Why? And then here he is getting injured on just a ridiculous play. It was just so stupid. I don't understand why he was in coverage.
Yeah, so it was just weird spot, weird timing. It is, it's just one of those things that happen.
Is he going to be okay? Is he definitely out?
They were supposed to be doing tests today or yesterday, so I haven't heard anything yet.
Right.
According to ESPN, he's still listed as questionable, so I haven't really heard anything past that because that's a huge piece they need in that defense to have any chance against the Bills.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's huge. It really sucks, especially when he had 2 sacks in the game. Man, if this guy doesn't win Defensive Player of the Year, it's ridiculous. Unless you want to give it to Antoine Winfield, which is also okay. But yeah, it's just absolutely bananas, and it sucks. It sucks for him. He hasn't won a playoff game yet, as they were mentioning in the commentary the other night. So I hate to see it from the guy who's just had an absolutely stellar year.
Now, to go to your comment earlier about the Steelers winning in Baltimore, the Ravens actually haven't won a home game against the Steelers since 2019.
What?
Yeah.
That's wild. Furthermore,
in this decade, the Steelers are 7-1 against them.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Somehow they got the Ravens number, I guess. It's probably one of the oldest rivalries. Well, one of the best rivalries in the NFL. It's not one of the oldest because the Ravens are relatively new, but definitely a strong rivalry. So I'm surprised to see them dominating that one so much, especially with how good the Ravens have been over the last couple of years. But hey, yeah, boy, hit the bet. Sure wasn't looking good for a while there, but we hit the 10-win bet. I don't think you could say enough about Mike Tomlin just turning this squad around, producing yet another winning season for his Steelers fans. Frankie hit his bet the last week. It's a beautiful thing, man. You love to see it. The dude's a hell of a coach, and I think anyone who was maybe calling for his head is maybe realize the
It's
error of their
ludicrous.
ways and realize how dumb they were. Like, frankly, if you were calling for his head, dude, you should just stop covering sports. Just stop it.
I mean, like I said before on the Frankie episode, he has pretty close to an identical career number as Bill Cowher, who he walks on water.
Well, he passed him now. He passed Bill Cowher and the previous really good coach they had there too. So it's like,
yeah, so it's like, not for nothing, he's doing fairly well for himself.
You should just leave him there until he wants to retire. It's crazy. But either way, shout out to the Steelers. Beautiful pass by Mason Rudolph for a long bomb to Dante Johnson. And he just took it to the house. The safety bit up on the play. Can't be having that. And the dude just ran right through them. George Pickens, barely targeted in this game. Didn't have a catch, I don't think. And apparently he was okay. And it's just funny that like the commentators had to mention that oh look, he's still engaged, he's still playing. And it's just like, yeah, but isn't it funny how much of a diva this guy is? And they're like, oh look, he's still engaged even though he's not playing.
He hasn't done it. Yeah.
It's just pathetic in my opinion. I still don't like the guy, but shout out to the Steelers. They have now punched their ticket to the playoffs. We'll see how they do, Dan.
I mean, we rip on a guy who doesn't block for his teammates, yet you and I love playing a sport that you're not allowed to block for your teammates.
True, but if I was downfield, you should block for your teammates.
Exactly.
Shout out, for example, who was it that Colts game, the one we're about to go to, the long Jonathan Taylor rushing touchdown. He had a wide receiver down there. I think it was Michael Pittman or one of them was down there giving just a beautiful block and absolutely sprung that touchdown run. So shout out to the Colts. They do know how to back up their boys. Jonathan Taylor had a pretty good day. Dude, the 4th and 1 that they went for it on this one and didn't convert. It's just so tough. Like it was not the best throw, but you still got to make that catch. And like, going through a couple old subreddits and stuff, all the guys were like, why was Jonathan Taylor or Zach Moss not on the field? Why was it this third string running back? And why was he the guy you threw the ball to on 4th and 1?
You can't leave your season. No offense to him.
No offense to him.
But you can't, you want your top tier guys out there when your 100%. Season's on the line.
100%.
I mean, I thought this was a great game. Andrew did not agree. But
obviously.
But I mean, CJ Stroud just comes out first play pretty much and just chucks the 75-yard bomb. Nico Collins, what a game he had.
What a year, dude. I thought he was kind of a rookie, but no, he's going into his 3rd, 4th year. So he's just burst onto the scene suddenly.
Yeah, I mean, he tore it up 195 yards in that game with a touchdown.
Jeez.
Over 1,200 yards receiving on the season. So, but kudos to Indy. I don't really have to give them a lot of credit, ever, but
what do you think it's the Colts? They're way over here.
Yeah, it's where they came from.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're just anti-Baltimore, huh? That makes no sense as a Maryland guy, but all
no.
Right.
My family is Baltimore Colt fans, so I don't like that team.
Okay, fair enough. All right.
If you notice, I always say Indy. I never say their actual name.
Either way, they definitely battled in this game. Gardner Minshew struggled to get some completions, man. I had him in an over for 225 yards. Should have been easy money. The dude just struggled all night, though. Ended up with 144 or something ridiculous.
Which... yeah, I mean, it was not the best night for him. I mean, it's threw for 141 yards. But I think, something we had talked about a couple of weeks ago, something I was going to get to before our tangent, is I think the key part to look about this is Houston's going to be a great team in this division. We've been saying this over the last couple of weeks. But look at what Indy did with Minshew. I've liked Minshew. I think he's a solid guy to have on your roster, but if Richardson can stay healthy, and they almost got in with what you want to call a backup quarterback.
Sure.
I'm curious to see what they're going to do next year with Richardson, hopefully being healthy for their sake. Hopefully. So
they need to get a good backup again because I don't know if they're going to be able to retain Minshew. I think he might have played himself into a starting job. I could be wrong.
I mean, there's plenty of openings that we'll see. Minnesota's one of them.
Yeah.
Some other places where New England could use them.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I think it's curious to see like they were almost a playoff team with all the issues that they had all year. With Taylor being out for the majority of the season and losing Richardson so early. Promising. I think this is a division that will be an interesting one to watch over the next couple of years. Like it's all relatively very young,
Yep.
so we got time to watch them develop and really kind of go at each other.
Absolutely. And like a lot of people have been calling this one of the shit mountains. Us in the NFC South and the AFC South are apparently the two shit mountains. But like you said, this is a very young league division, and man, it's loaded with talent right now. So they're going to be scary for the years to come. We'll get to the other game here in a little while. But yeah, overall, very good division. I can't wait to see what CJ Stroud's going to do in the playoffs, man. The guy's fun to watch, and he's easy to root for too. I really like D'Amico Ryan's down there too.
I mean, I'm going to admit I'm a little torn about that game because it's like I want both of them to go. I wanted both of them to make a run in the playoffs.
Yeah, same.
Like I wanted that game to be like the AFC Championship game, not the wild card game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think whoever wins that game, I'm going to pull for. So, in the AFC.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll go into that one. Another game that took place was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers locking up the NFC South for the third time in a row. Dan Rooney, I think that might be the first time. I could be wrong, but I think it's the first time in the NFC South that a team has won 3 years in a row.
I thought the Panthers did. Like 13, 14, 15.
Could be. They did have a dominant run there for a little while, so it's possible. I don't know. Drew Brees was in the division at that time. I can't see him losing out 3 years in a row.
But I think it was like the year that they went to the Super Bowl was one of the years.
I did get a stat sent to me from a Mama Compian that I hadn't even really realized was true. I'm going to pull it up here just to go ahead and let you guys know. But
yeah, 13.
This is apparently the only NFC team to make the playoffs the last 4 seasons. Pretty impressive from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Nobody would have expected that. As much shit gets talked about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So this game, dude, painful to watch, Dan. This game was painful to watch. It was almost as painful as what Baker Mayfield was going through throughout this game.
I mean, it was your favorite thing. It was a field goal fest.
To shout out Chase McLaughlin. That dude's a stud. He nailed a 57-yarder in this game, which we fucking absolutely needed. So shout out Chase McLaughlin. Had himself a solid day. There's a couple things I want to get to about this game, but I'm going to start with Baker Mayfield. Dude did not look healthy out there. Missed a lot of easy long bombs, but then again, I don't know why we were doing long bombs on like 3rd and 3. We're like trying to throw long bombs. It's like, why? And dude, the Panthers defense apparently been solid as hell. Like I was watching that game, and shout out Jonathan Bilma, actually a very solid commentator. I didn't even really realize he was commentating until they showed the booth, and I was like, oh, it's Jonathan. And he was, I thought he had some pretty good input into this game, but like
every time he's in the booth, I can never recognize him. I don't know why.
Because I mean, not to be an asshole, but his voice kind of. Anyway,
I wasn't going that way. It's just like, like I don't know. I feel like I never saw a lot of interviews with him when he was a player.
That's fair. He probably didn't talk. I mean, he was a middle linebacker, so he probably, if you're a Saints fan, you probably saw him talk a lot. But everybody else, we haven't.
Yeah.
But yeah, shout out him. He had a good game calling it, because this was not an interesting game, and they did kind of keep it pretty interesting throughout the commentary. But yeah, as I mentioned, Baker Mayfield, man, comes into this game, fucked up ribs, maybe should have sat out, but no, he's a warrior. He wanted to play for his boys, wanted to play for this team, and honestly, I'm kind of glad he did. I don't know what's going on.
He could have sat out.
What?
I don't know. I don't get how he could have sat out this game. Like
exactly. Like a lot of people were like I was in the Bucs subreddit the whole time, and people were calling for Kyle Trask, and I'm like, dude, there's a reason we haven't seen Kyle Trask yet, guys.
I mean, I think it would have been one thing if you guys, no offense, got into a field goal fest. Like if you guys were up 21-0 in the third quarter, maybe.
Absolutely. For sure.
If the game was in hand, but the way things were going now.
It was not. And dude, I think I may have mentioned it in a previous pod, but snub of the year, snub of the decade was not having Antoine Winfield in the Pro Bowl. Just absolute madness, Dan.
Snub
This
of the
is
century.
crazy, dude. The dude has 117 tackles. No disrespect to Buda Baker. Jonathan Vilma put it well. I'm not going to disparage that man's name. He's a hell of a safety. But, dude, it's crazy. The dude had like 77 tackles and got in over Antoine Winfield. No interceptions, no sacks, no forced fumbles. You know what? Let's go over Antoine Winfield's stats, shall we? About 120 tackles, fucking 6 sacks, 6 forced fumbles, like 13 pass deflections, interceptions galore. And man, he had the play of the game in this game, dude. Like he saved us. DJ Clark escapes on a just for some reason was wide open, and he's just running down the sidelines, and I'm like, oh boy. And then out of nowhere, Winfield just does what he's done all year, Dan. Chases this ball down. DJ Clark, I don't know what the fuck he was doing with that ball security going into that hit zone. Terrible way to carry the ball, sir. But either way, Antoine Winfield made him fucking pay, dude. He hit him on the 1 yard line. That ball comes loose. Jamel Dean picks it up. Save the touchdown, dude. Because that's what MVP people do. He should be in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. And it's a fucking travesty he's not in the Pro Bowl. Absolutely bananas. And no, Dan, a week later, I'm still not over it. It's insane to me. It just shows that the NFL doesn't give a fuck about actual play. It's all a name game with that Pro Bowl. Get rid of it. Gut the whole thing. It's been trash for years, and everyone's known it's been a name game for years. Get rid of it.
Well, here's my thing. Like, the Pro Bowl is a joke at this point. Like, if you're playing dodgeball and skill comps.
What are we doing?
Well, here's the thing. I love it for hockey, so it's a little ironic. But they also still play like a genuine 3-on-3 game. Sure, they're not laying each other out like a regular game, but yeah, it's like it's a popularity contest. But you know, Green Bay got 0 Pro Bowlers, by the way, 0.
All right, but who's your big argument? I mean, I was talking to a friend of the show, Taylor Sykes, about this. We agreed Rashawn Gary was snubbed. Maybe I have an argument for Kenny Clark, although I don't know what Kenny Clark's stats were this year, but I know he's a big run defender, and those guys don't always end up with stats that should maybe prove what they did.
Preston Smith had a good year.
We'll get to the Packers and snubs in a minute here, Dan. How about that?
We don't have to talk it.
But either way, absolute snub of the century. Was so offended by this. But dude, our boy Baker Mayfield just banged up as fuck, gets in there, picking people up when they're getting tackled, out there slapping hands with the boys when they're coming off from field goals. Had a beautiful run on like 3rd and 6 with cracked ribs and all. Goes and picks up his 7 yards that he needed. Hell, he ran through Derek Brown for 1 yard for a first down that we desperately needed. He got fucking butchered. He got hit hard by Derek Brown to the point where Tristan Wirth was not happy about it, which, I mean, I just like to see an aggressive offensive lineman. I love to see it. Like, hey, you hit my quarterback, I'm mad at you. I'm here for that. But also, Baker Mayfield was carrying the ball up the middle. What do you expect? But either way, can't say enough about Baker. I hope to God we sign him to something because the dude absolutely deserves it. He is the epitome. I feel like he embodies this team. Like in the press conference. Go ahead.
I don't get how you can let him walk at this.
I don't think so either. And like, he had a press conference after, and man, this guy just epitomizes the Buccaneers. Like the pressers were asking him, like, you know, a lot of people counted you out, and then here you are making it to the playoffs. How do you feel about that? And he's like, I mean, we're a locker room full of guys used to being counted out. So, fuck yeah, Baker. Fuck yeah, you epitomize the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Fucking love that guy. Hope he's around for many years. On another note, Panthers end their season with 0 points over the last 2 games. Rough, Dan. Rough. And Jonathan Vilma was mentioning it like they gotta throw the ball downfield. And then they tried and immediately got sacked. So it kind of proves why they can't, you know, throw the ball downfield. Turns out they have a terrible offensive line.
I mean, when you have no draft picks and you can't get any help, it's
bad. It's really bad over there, and I frankly love to see it because they're in our division. I do like the Panthers. I don't really have anything. Out of all of our division opponents, I like the Panthers the most. But I'm also okay with this. You know, I'm okay with them just being absolutely terrible and us getting some free wins off of them every year. I don't think they've beaten us. Well, no, that's not true. They beat Brady last year, but still, I think, you know, I just love to see it. I love, you know,
Be careful. Their owner might throw a drink on you.
Oh, bring it, Tepper. I'll sue your ass. Anyway, because he'll blind me, Dan. And as you know, I need my eyes for work.
Gotta see the solar.
But last thing about that, what was I going with it? Shoot. Oh, yeah. Shout out Joe Tryanchenko. Done nothing all year. Absolutely nothing. But came up with a huge strip sack to seal the game. Finally decided he wanted to play some football. Love to see it. Chris Godwin with a huge third down conversion. White was pretty quiet in this game, but he did have the carries we needed. Shout out Chase Edmonds. Had the biggest run, had the biggest offensive player in the day for us on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with a
21-yard run. Yeah.
Jesus. So yeah, shout out to all the Buccaneers. We're absolutely going to have to play better to beat the Eagles, although they suck too, and we'll hop into that in just a moment. Moving on, the Bengals took on the Browns. Dan, the Browns pretty much sat everyone for this game, and I mentioned it in the chat. I don't understand how Jeff Driscoll has a job in this league. Like, he got 2 garbage time touchdowns, but how? How does this guy have a job in the league? Every time he comes in, he's just absolute trash. I don't get it.
I mean, how does Kyle Trask have a job in the NFL?
Kyle Trask hasn't done anything yet. Okay, we drafted him and he hasn't played yet. Jeff Driscoll has been on various different teams and has sucked on all of them. So that's my argument. You gotta give the guy a chance in the NFL before you just discount him. Like, all right, maybe he's not good enough to be playing for the Bucs, or there's probably a reason we haven't seen him yet. A guy like that
Driscoll's been in the league for 5 years and been on 5 teams.
Dude, he's been terrible with all of them. So yeah, I really don't understand how that guy has a job. No offense, Jeff, but you're bad at football.
I don't know. I wasn't expecting it to be this out of hand. Again, much like the Ravens game, I know that they were sitting people, but I still thought that Browns defense was going to make it a little tougher on them. But
beautiful interception by that safety. Tipped it to himself and ended up picking it off. That was pretty cool. Jake Browning does his thing in this game. Not enough to save the Bengals season. Too little, too late. Joe Mixon had himself a hell of a day. I think they took the foot off the gas pedal a little bit here in the second half and kind of allowed the Browns to get some touchdowns here to kind of make the score look a little closer than what that game really was, because that game was kind of a blowout from the very beginning to the end.
I mean, it was 31-0 until the Browns scored a point. So
exactly. So yeah, whatever. That's the AFC North. It's kind of wrapped up. The Bengals, despite the win, are going to be sitting at home. Browns advance.
Interesting part though about that. One, it's the first time in NFL history that an entire division has a winning record.
Wow.
With that win, it made the Bengals 9-8.
Yeah.
And then just because, the polarity of the league, the Bengals finished in last place with a 9-8 record.
That's crazy.
Tampa won the division.
I've already seen the memes today of the guys looking at the windows and like the one dude looking at the rocks, and it's the Bengals looking at like 9-8, bottom of the division, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 9-8, division champions looking out at the sun. Yeah. I'm okay with it, Dan.
It's just how it goes, man.
It's how it goes. Fuck the Bengals. Whatever. Their owner sucks. How about that? Moving on to another NFC North matchup. The Vikings fall to the Lions in this one. The Lions look pretty good. They had a huge play out of your boy St. Brown, dude. I love this kid. I think he might be one of the best receivers in the league. I just love to see his growth this year. He's playing some really good football. Had a beautiful touchdown run in this game. And speaking to people blocking downfield and playing hard for their teammates, Gibbs and I think another receiver made sure that St. Brown got across that end zone at the very end there, shoves him in. And I don't know. I love that, dude. I love to see a running back who is out there trying to catch his own route. Is like, oh shit, okay, and just follows his boy and makes sure he scores. Like, that's football, man. That's good teammates. That's looking out for your boys and making sure. I'm here for it.
Yeah, and I mean, this game I watched. We were flipping between this game and the Jacksonville game, but I mean, sure, 10 points, relatively close game. There's times that it was 7-point game, but all in all, Detroit was never not in control of the game. Yeah. So they still controlled it. I mean, I think again, much like the Steelers, big thing to take away with this game is they lost Sam Laporta.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, he injured his knee in the game.
Ooh.
So right now, again,
huge loss.
much like TJ Watt, he's listed as questionable for the playoff game. At this point, I haven't seen any additional information that they've released.
And I'm probably going to get this guy's name wrong, but the fill-in tight end for the Vikings had a pretty solid game. I want to say Oliver, something like that. Had a couple big catches.
Yeah, Josh Oliver.
Had a couple big catches in this game. But we can't say enough about Jefferson, dude. Had an absolute smoker right over the top for a beautiful touchdown. He's been gone for most of the year and still finished close to 1,000, if not 1,000. I imagine he fell a little short.
Yeah,
which wasn't his fault. It was because
1,074.
Oh, so he did make it.
Yeah.
Good for him. That's crazy. Didn't even play. He was out most of the year and still made that. So that's awesome.
He had 192 in that game.
Wow! Holy cow, dude! He's a stud. Jefferson is an absolute stud.
Here, I want to get your opinion on this. Viking fans will not like this. But do you think this is like heading towards another Stephon Diggs situation?
No. I don't know if he's the same guy as Stephon Diggs. Not to shade on Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, I like Diggs.
He's a little bit of a diva, or at least he kind of portrays that sometimes.
But I mean, like, it's not so much the diva aspect as much as like he's a guy that just needs to get out of there because clearly they're not investing in pieces to utilize his talent.
I mean, but is that true? It seems like they're kind of maybe a quarterback away from being in legit contention. They were in the playoff race up until like last week or so. So
yeah, but I mean, if you look back at the last couple of years, it's like sure they had Kirk Cousins, but clearly Kurt's not getting it done.
I mean, he was balling out this year, so I'm not gonna hear Kirk Cousins slander on this pod. Okay, we love that guy, and I know you're a Packers fan, but he's been playing some good football over the last couple of years.
Look,
I think Vikings fans will look back at that contract and realize they had a pretty good guy. Like maybe not the guy who was there all the time, maybe missed some primetime games, didn't show up for it, but overall a solid ass quarterback, solid dude as well.
But yeah, so curious to see how the Lions can handle if Sam Laporte is out.
Yeah, huge.
That's a big piece out of their offense, I think.
Absolutely. Moving on, the New York Jets took care of business against the Patriots. I think I picked the Patriots for this one, which is disappointing. They did not show up in this game. Tons of snow, absolutely terrible weather. I didn't really see much of this game. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't even realize, was this the early window? It was. They showed like none of this game on Red Zone, so it really must not have been much going on with it. But either way, they mostly just ran the ball, I guess, with the running back down there. Hall, Mr. Bryce Hall. Am I right about that? Breece Hall.
Breece.
Yeah, Breece had a big game. I think I heard a quote come out about people saying, like Garrett Wilson's like, yeah, I heard I had a good year, but this was actually the worst year of my life. So I don't know if he's like talking about some personal stuff too, but I could see how he felt that way. The dude had like 5 different quarterbacks throwing him the ball this year, and I imagine it was frustrating.
Yeah, they, I think to a degree this could have really gone either way. I just felt more confident in the Jets defense than what any of the New England quarterbacks that they decided to use could have done.
Yeah.
Horrible way for Belichick to go out for what might
fucking rough day. If this is the last day for him.
His last game in New England. But this locked up the worst record by the Patriots since 1992 when they went 2-14.
Oof.
So
yeah, tough for Bill Belichick to go out that way. I kind of hate to see that. I've had my gripes about the Patriots for many, many years. Who hasn't, with them just dominating for as long as they have? You're gonna form some haters, and I was definitely one of them. But at the same time, kind of hate to see a legend like him going out this way. I don't know if I want him to be a coach for another team. Almost, I kind of just hope the guy retires if he ends up getting fired because, I don't know, he embodies the Patriots.
I heard an interesting thing. Someone brought it up on Sunday at the house that I believe they said they haven't signed since Belichick took over as GM. In the last, I think he said 3 or 4 years, maybe. And again, I'm trying to remember what he said, and I haven't looked into it. but they haven't signed anyone past their rookie contract that they've drafted.
Yeah, I heard about that. So that was a big mistake. Why did
And I'm
you put
like-
him as the GM? That's
I'm like,
where it
that
all
is
went wrong,
insane.
dude. He should have just been the coach. Why the hell did you make him the GM too? That was so stupid.
Yeah, because that's
whoever made that call was an idiot.
But that's one of the things that like I've heard is like he might not coach, but do you move him up into the office at New England so you still keep him there?
Why would they do that? Apparently, he's not good at drafting. he's a little out of touch, man. I remember when they drafted Strange a couple years ago, and it's like, what? This Division two center, and you're in the first round, Bill? Really? I don't know. Either way, probably not the best drafter. Hell of an NFL coach. Kind of hate to see him go out that way. I think there's going to be a lot of talk about, hey, looks like Brady was carrying you, buddy. So that's unfortunate for him. Either way, another NFC South matchup. The Falcons, the Saints. This game was closer at halftime, Dan. It completely turned into a blowout, but it was 17-7 at halftime. Falcons had some fight in them. I think there was even a point where they're maybe about to tie it up or get close to it, and Bijan Robinson or one of the receivers literally dropped a touchdown pass. And yeah, it was just a tough day for the Falcons overall. Desmond Ridder came out strong. He did not finish the game that way. And of course, the big controversy of the whole day. You know, at the end, Jameis Winston goes in victory formation, fakes it, hands it to Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams hits a touchdown. A lot of angry Falcons fans about this. Dennis Allen threw the whole team under the bus, which, dude, this is losing. He lost the team. He lost the fan base of this. Like, they already didn't like him, and then he didn't stick by his boys for this. Not a good look, dude. What are you doing second up to Arthur Smith? Who gives a fuck? The dude's about to be fired literally that night.
Oh, no.
He didn't even survive to Black Monday, and you threw your whole bus into the team. The whole team under the bus just to fucking defend this dude, like just to suck up to this guy. And shame on whoever that New Orleans Saints reporter is. I believe it's Ed Oliver or something ridiculous like that. I forget the guy's name. Just absolutely trying to grill Jameis Winston in the locker room. And Jameis just with a big old smile on his face was just killing him with kindness, dude. I fucking love to see it. He was just like big, wide open eyes. What do you mean? I'm here for my teammates. The team decided this. We decided. Jamal Williams. He's out there, causing blood, sweat, and tears every week. We felt like he deserved a touchdown. All right? It was a team decision. And this stupid-ass reporter is like, well, respectfully, I disagree. He's like, you disagree with the team? He's like, oh, I disagree, okay? And James is like, that's nice.
Yeah,
Frankly, fuck that reporter. You're an idiot. Get the fuck out of journalism, bro. Stop trying to roast my boy Jameis Winston. Love to see it, Jameis. Love to see it. Love our boy Jameis Winston, dude. I love all the Saints players coming out of the woodworks to defend him. Lance Moore, like a guy who's been retired for a couple of years now, coming out to defend him. Like, fucking love it, dude. I hate the Saints. Man. You know I hate the Saints, but I love how they rallied around my boy Jameis Winston. Saints fans have been rallying around him as well. Just like, no, fuck Dennis Allen. You should have stuck by your guys for this. And dude, frankly, we talked about this off screen. Be better. You don't want to get the score run up on you? Be better. You're getting paid millions of dollars, Dan. Be better. Now, the whole controversy is that they did it out of victory formation. Now, some people are saying that they did tell the Falcons that they were going to run a play. That seems a little sketchy. Probably didn't tell them that. And then they went ahead and scored. Still don't care. Who cares? It's a pointless thing. Let Jamal Williams get another touchdown. I love Jamal Williams. Love to see the guy getting another touchdown. Because, yeah, he's been fullback all year for Alvin Kamara. So, dude, that was cool. I love to see it. That's one cool thing the Saints have done all year.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, obviously it didn't apply in this situation, but, we talk about it because you never know when the points are going to matter. And point differential is a tiebreaker for the NFL.
Yeah.
So, I get, again, you can gripe all you want. It was week 18. Sure, whatever. Don't care.
Don't care. Be better.
But if this was week 1, you know what? Maybe those 7 points mattered in week 1.
All right.
But people would still cry the same way.
And I think ultimately Falcons fans are just happy that Arthur Smith got fired. I don't think they care too much about this.
Look, just view it as the Saints did you a favor and made sure he got fired.
Exactly. I do. The one thing I will say about Arthur Smith, I love the fire. That shit was awesome. He like came off that sideline ready to fight Dennis Allen, and I'm here for it, dude. That was cool. Just like and like you could hear the pickup of the audio. That was fucking bullshit. Here for it, dude. Love it. That was awesome. Anyway, AFC South showdown, another shit mountain showdown, as they say, Dan. The Jacksonville Jaguars just dropped the ball absolutely. Very similar situation to what the Bucs were dealing with, playing the worst team in their division. Couldn't get the job done. The fucking Derrick Henry, man. If this was his last game with the Tennessee Titans, hell of a way to go out, especially after all the doubters, after that tough game you had where you had multiple minus yards and stuff. Good way for him to rally. Good way for him to finish out maybe his tenure there with the Tennessee Titans. The Jaguars had lots of chances, man. They came storming back in this game. I think it was like 13-28, and they kind of worked their way back into it. They turned over on downs in the red zone of the Tennessee Titans.
But then they got an early touchdown in the fourth quarter to pull us, to what ended up being the final score.
Right.
So they had the whole fourth quarter to tie this thing up.
Yeah.
And they just, Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence looks bad, dude. I'm a big Trevor.
I don't know. He took some shots this year.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
He was banged up. He was so banged up these last couple of weeks. But
yeah, I don't know if he's just still not getting healthy enough. But also we saw it. You get pressure on him. We saw it in the Baltimore game. We saw it in the Cleveland game. If you get on him, he doesn't handle that very well.
I mean, no quarterbacks handle it great. Nobody likes to be getting hit while you're looking downfield.
No, not at all. But I mean, it's just some of his passes are just so out there that it's you're not even giving your own guys a shot.
Yeah.
But, and his turnover on downs, it was almost similar to that Huntley play against the Bengals last year, where they're way too far out to just reach over the top.
Yeah.
So, I don't know why he thought going over was the best idea, because he was a yard and a half out. I'm your arms aren't that long. No offense, dude.
No.
You're not that big. So
big Trevor Lawrence guy, though. So I do hate to see this absolute collapse by the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah. I mean, I think we were talking about this. People were shocked by my opinion, but I said, don't be surprised if Doug Peterson gets fired.
That would be rough, dude. That would be so stupid.
Well, I don't know, but here, look, because
is this his first year down there?
No.
Oh, second.
Yeah, he's been down there for a couple seasons.
Dude, you can't fire him. Playoff run and the 9-8. I mean, it was a collapse at the end there, but still.
I mean, yeah, I get this is his third season.
This is his third?
Second season. Sorry. I think you were in calendar year 24, not season 24.
Right.
Again, we see some coaches get really short leashes, others get a long leash. So, it's kind of, they were talking about with Belichick that, what team has a good team, but their coaches can't get them over. And if hypothetically Belichick hits the market, and then
I think that would be a big mistake.
But, I like Doug Peterson. Don't get me wrong. I like him. Sure. It was funny when I made that comment. There were the couple Eagles fans in the room were like, "Yeah, I wouldn't mind having him back."
I bet.
But it's just.
But then again, they also probably were the same guys saying to fire him whenever he was over there. So.
They're big.
NFL fans are fickle.
They are. I mean, I haven't said fire Matt LaFleur yet, but I do love saying fire Joe Barry. But anyway.
I was heavily calling for Brian Leftwich's head last year, and as you can see, Dan, he did not get a job in the NFL this year. So,
but no, I think let's see if Trevor Lawrence can get healthy this offseason, because they were a team that was so unstoppable for so long, and then just abruptly fell off.
Yeah,
and you couldn't have convinced me otherwise that they weren't going to win the division or weren't going to go to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because I think at their downturn, they were 8-3 when they started to go downhill.
Absolutely. Well, moving on, we have a NFC West matchup. The Seattle Seahawks nibble out a victory over the Carolina Panthers.
Cardinals.
They're not in the playoffs though, right? They didn't make it.
So no, they're not. So the Seahawks would have had to beat the Cardinals. Had I believe, I don't remember if they had the tiebreaker over the Saints or not, but they would have needed Green Bay to lose. But I think they might, or no, sorry. Green Bay loses, Seattle wins. Seattle is in. If Green Bay and Seattle lost, the Saints got in.
Oh, okay.
That's how that was. So Seahawks knew going into the game they had to win. The game against Green Bay's game was having at the same time as theirs.
Right.
They already knew that the Saints won, but that really didn't matter to them because
if they won, they were in, and the Packers lost.
Yeah, so a lot to play for. Again, the Cardinals putting up a hell of a game again.
Dude,
2 weeks. 2 weeks
I
in a
give
row.
credit to Kyle Murray. I've been hard on him in this show before.
I mean,
but
really,
the dude has really showed something this year, I think.
I mean, it makes you wonder, like, with a full year of him under there, if they decide to stick with him,
they have to.
They
what
might be
else are they gonna do?
People still like to push the narrative of getting Caleb, but
they're foreign. They're not going to have a chance at Caleb Williams. There's a couple teams ahead of them.
Yeah, unless they make a move, but.
And I also think Caleb Williams is overrated, but we'll find out.
But that's a different episode.
That's a whole other episode.
But no, I think what they've been able to put together the last couple of weeks, I think will be interesting to see what they can do next year.
Yeah.
Barring Kyler can stay healthy all year. But they gave them a run for their money. They had a touchdown inside 2 minutes left to pretty much win the game for them. So, by no means was it an easy win for them.
No, and like I said, shout out to Kyle Murray, literally making it happen with nobody to throw the ball to down there. We've said it before on this show. It's still impressive. James Conner's playing out of his mind, man. I'd love to see it. Running back in his second contract actually being good. It's nice because, dude, these dudes just wash up so quickly. So to see this guy out there doing his thing, and great story. Didn't he have cancer at one point? Yeah. So it's a hell of a story for him. I love to see that he's still doing his thing. Shout out James Conner.
It was career high rushing yards for him. He broke 1,000.
Nice.
His career high before was 973. He did, 7 touchdowns, not bad. His career high on that is 12. But, all in all, solid year rushing. And, not shabby receiving either with, almost 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. And if they don't utilize them that way, it's one thing. But, 1,000-yard rushing season is always great to get if you're running back.
Absolutely. And, I guess the final thing I wanted to mention, which we kind of forgot last week, was that one-handed catch to win the game against the Eagles that James Conner had. Pretty sweet. Pretty cool stuff.
Guess where you can see that?
Oh, let me guess. Sports by Compian Shorts?
Sports by Compian Shorts.
Let's go, baby. Anyway, it's so weird the way my mouth is functioning. Anyway, the Bears fall to the Packers. Justin Fields has yet to win in Lambeau. Hell, I bet it dates back to Mitchell Trubisky since the last time they were able to actually win a game up there in Lambeau. What's going on with this game, Dan?
The Packers have now won 10 in a row against the Bears.
Dude.
So love that. I had a lot of people chirping in my ear all week about this game, and I told them, enjoy your Super Bowl. I'm focusing on the playoffs. Look, here's the thing. I hated that the Lions knocked us out last year. I would have hated this. I would have hated it even more.
Yeah.
If the Bears knocked us out because they're an insufferable group of people.
I did hear from a couple Bears fans about this, and they believe in Justin Fields, but they were certainly this was the game for him to prove that he should get that next contract. And he did not, Dan. Against the Joe Barry defense, no less. He got 9 points. Not a good look.
Jordan Love, all in all, good day. 316 yards and 2 touchdowns. Aaron Jones, another 100-yard rushing game. With him getting healthy again, that's awesome.
How'd they only score 17 points then?
They scored 2 touchdowns and a field goal.
Well, that's what I'm saying. 17 points is not much.
No, because there's a little, Like they should have had another. They should have at least another field goal. There was one closing out the first half where they got down the field into field goal range, and then they did an out pass on the boundary. The wide receiver got knocked backwards, so the clock expired. Instead of just spiking the ball because they had no timeouts. So, like, to me, that's what concerns me a little bit is clock management. Sometimes with LaFleur and just the other guys, being aware of what you're doing. But, for the numbers they put up, I would have liked to see a little more out of it. But, simple plan. I was watching this on my phone the best I could using sketchy streams. But, the defense looked great, which is what we really need going into the playoffs. Because, like we said, not big Joe Barry guys over here.
Yeah.
But, I'm not really concerned about our offense. We're getting pieces back. We got them back last week. Guys are hopefully going to be healthy and ready to go for the game.
Is Watson actually going to play, or is this just going to be injured for his whole career?
I hope he'll be back. I hope Dylan will be back too, because we really need him as well. So, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But, big win and get in. I saw this stat that the 2013 Packers are the youngest averaged age team since the 2017 Browns, who went 0-16.
Oh, wow.
And they're the youngest average age team to ever make the playoffs in NFL. So, I think for all things said about Jordan Love all year, he got drugged for a long time this season through the media, through whatever. Yeah. Like I've said before, he's not Aaron Rodgers. We all know he's not Aaron Rodgers. But everybody outside of the state of Wisconsin acted like the sky was falling in Green Bay. Yeah. And it wasn't.
I mean, it was a little tough there for a while, you got to admit. It was a rough go out the gate.
Yeah, but they're acting like we're about to turn into, what the Browns were.
No, you're right. They were acting a little crazy. I think a lot of people were excited to see the demise of the Green Bay Packers.
I think USA Today had a predicted to only win like 5 games this year and finish in last.
Yeah.
They did the same thing to your Bucks. They gave them a raw deal too.
They had us projected like 5 games, something like that.
And last place. So, I think all in all it's good. I saw another stat about Jordan Love. He finished the season with, it was 4,159 yards, passing 32 touchdowns. Only 2 quarterbacks have finished with more passing yards and touchdowns in their first year starting. And that is Patrick Mahomes. And do you know who the other one is? He's a Hall of Famer in our era.
Jameis Winston.
Close.
Oh, okay. Tell me.
Kurt Warner. So
wow. Good company.
Not saying he's going to be that, but that's not bad company to be around.
Not at all.
Like I was telling a lot of people, I was like, look, I just wanted a winning season out of them. Whether or not it put us in the playoffs, who knew? But I think if we got a winning season, it was going to give us the right confidence. Yeah. We needed to go in, have a strong draft the next year, get some pieces that we might need or do need. So I think all in all, very happy with how the things went, especially down the stretch. There was times looking like we weren't going to have a winning season. We weren't going to even be able to sniff the playoffs.
Yeah.
The way some of those games against the Giants and Bucks went. So, all in all, I'm happy. And let's see what Dallas does. My brother's a big Dallas fan.
Oh, really?
We talked in the morning, and I told him, I think we're going to play you guys. Part of the win, we're going to probably end up playing you. He's like, I don't like that. He goes, Dallas has looked phenomenal all year. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I don't know why you're concerned. He goes, dude, it's the Packers in the playoffs. That's all I'm saying.
It's true. They do kind of turn it on. Before we move on to our next game, we have our non-sponsor sponsor of today, which is Lightsaber Gummies. Now, these aren't the hard type of candy lightsabers, which you may all be familiar with. This is a superior form of lightsabers, which are known as gummy form, and they are delicious, Dan, let me tell you. Gummies are actually the best kind of candy. For anyone out there who might be confused and think it's a different kind of candy, wrong, it's gummies. Any kind of gummies is usually pretty great, but especially lightsaber gummies. Proud non-sponsor sponsor of Sports by Compian. You absolutely love to see it.
You got to go sour.
Exactly. There's like so many different flavors by the lightsaber. That one's the original. It came off of Amazon, but there are some fantastic flavors.
I'm a big sour guy.
Oh yeah, same.
I had sour Starburst over the weekend. So good. I love those.
Sour Strawburst? I've never heard of that.
I'll send you.
Send me the link. Hook the boy up. Anyway, the Chiefs nibbled out a victory against the Chargers. What do we need to say about this game, Dan? I think the Chiefs they sat their starters. So this was like a skeleton crew going against the Chargers, who had just been an absolute mess. I bet Chargers fans are just so happy this year is over.
I kind of forgot that Blaine Gabbert was still a thing.
Same. He came from the Bucs, so I shouldn't have forgotten that.
Yeah, I missed that he got picked up this year.
Well, I mean, it makes sense. He was pretty solid with the Buccaneers, so it makes sense that he got picked up again.
So solid with the Buccaneers.
But it's kind of crazy that Blaine Gabbert is still kind of in the league. Like, didn't he get drafted like 2011?
Yeah, he's been around for a while.
He's been around for a while. Good for him making a career backup.
2011, yeah.
And those guys get paid, man. So shout out to him. Still out there doing his thing. The Missouri product finds a win for the Chiefs. Do we want to talk about this game anymore? The Chargers depressed me because of Austin Eckler.
I mean, there's not much to talk about. It was just backup sideshow at this point with Herbert being injured, Mahomes not needing to play.
Yeah.
And there's nothing really at stake. So
moving on. Broncos, Raiders. Raiders take care of business here, which I love to see. Fuck Sean Payton. Terrible coach, terrible person. So I love to see his team failing. They're not going to fire him, but I wish he would, because he's a terrible person. I don't want to see him in the NFL anymore. But I do like to see Antonio Pierce pulling out yet another win to end out the Raiders season. I hope they retain him, man. I don't know if they will, but they should.
I hope they do too. He's done good things there.
I mean, Black Monday has come and gone, and we honestly haven't seen that many firings. Have we missed a bunch? Like, Arthur Smith is kind of the only one to catch it so far.
And Ron Rivera.
Oh, Ron Rivera too. Okay. Well, but that was like they already had fired him like in season already. Kind of, they told him like you're fucked, which is wild to me. It's so crazy to me to be like you're fired, but still come in and put in all this extra work and effort for us for the rest of the year. Like,
yeah, I mean, I think
it's so weird when they do that.
Wait and see. Give it a couple days.
Yeah, but yeah, Ron Rivera wasn't able to finish with over 500 record. Ultimately, probably not a very great coach. Had a good run there with the Carolina Panthers, but how much of that was Cam Newton and
Luke Kuechly?
Luke Kuechly, you know, it's up for debate, I think. But either way, Raiders pull out a win. Aiden O'Connell might be the guy over there, huh? Are they going to get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo?
Yeah, I was wondering if they would offer him up on draft day. At this point,
They have to. Like, whatever you're going to get for him, most of you are just like, can you please take his contract from us? And
then again, going back to what we said earlier, plenty of teams looking for a quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, he had some decent games this year, mostly not, but
So here's a thought. Let's say if Belichick stays, did they bring Jimmy G back?
Not if you want to win. Not if you want to like be successful.
But he did well with Jimmy G, though.
Dude, I don't believe in Jimmy G even a little bit. I don't know. He's another guy. I'm like, how is he even getting these big ass contracts? I sure as hell wouldn't trust him,
dude.
Huh?
He was on that TB12 method.
Yeah. Well, he's clearly not following it very well.
Yeah,
because he keeps on getting injured. If he was following it super well, he probably wouldn't be getting hurt as much as he does.
I don't think he's kissing his kids enough.
He's not kissing his kids. He's not eating avocado ice cream, and he's probably not being plyometric, baby. He's not being plyometric enough.
I don't think he has kids, honestly.
No, I mean he's too busy banging porn stars. Like you don't want to impregnate those girls. No offense, ladies. Big fan. Big fan. But anyway, moving on. The Eagles fall yet again, Dan. What is this? 4 in a row? 3 in a row? It's bad. It's really ugly. And to the Giants, and handled by the Giants. Is Jalen Hurts the most overrated quarterback in the NFL right now? I've mentioned it before. I like the guy. I love his story, but holy shit, it's falling apart on you over there, bud.
I think this is 5. They've lost 5 of their last 6 games.
Oof. Yeah, is the sky's falling a little bit down there in Philly. And I think AJ Brown got hurt in this game too.
He did, yeah.
Oof. Hate to see it, especially when they're going against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers next week. I'm just so sad for them. That's terrible. Terrible, Dan. Terrible.
You know, Sidney Brown is out. Slay's still hurt. Devontae Smith is hurt. AJ Brown's hurt.
We drew the best game we possibly could have.
I wouldn't be surprised if you guys do something at all.
I wouldn't either. I would not be either. And I think the sports books aren't counting us out too much either. We're only down by 2.5 on the sports books.
Yeah. So I think it'll be interesting to watch. The Eagles got to figure something out at this point.
Baker has to play better. He has to play better. Hopefully he'll have some time to heal up his ribs. And he got his ankle messed up in this game too. So hopefully.
Interesting. ESPN doesn't have him listed on their IR list.
Who? Baker?
Yeah.
Well, why would he be on their IR list? Isn't that the injury reserve list?
Yeah, but if he was they have Jalen Hurts is questionable, but we all know Jalen Hurts is going to play.
Oh, well, that's because they know Baker's a fucking badass and he's not going to miss a playoff game.
Because he's got that
he's got that flag, dude.
He's got the progressive.
Well, he's trying to move into the Raymond James Stadium so he can live in the pirate ship and be a true pirate. And I'm here for it.
We need to write them a letter about this commercial.
I think Buccaneers fans have already been petitioning, but we should definitely support that petition.
But yeah, so it's kind of a tough sledding for the Eagles. Just miscues. Hurts just can't, like, when he was getting pressured, he just folds, honestly. Like, he was taking a lot of unnecessary sacks in that game. And with losing AJ Brown, big target to lose. David's defense is opportunistic. So that's going to be tough for them to do. Mariota had no better faring. I'm pretty sure Mariota came in on the first play, threw an interception.
Hell yeah, Mariota.
That was funny. But
that 2015 quarterback class did not really work out, Dan.
Not at all.
I mean, hold on. Jameis could still bring it back for the boys, okay? But probably not Mariota. His confidence seems to be completely shot at this point. But let's not take away from the Giants, man. They've been frisky, like, in these last couple of weeks, bouncing around between quarterbacks, no idea what the hell's going on. Shout out to Dable, really rallying the boys and kind of bringing them around for these last couple of weeks. They've been strong. Shout out Tyrod Taylor. Another guy you love to hear his story, dude, just bouncing around the entire league. He's played just about everywhere. Probably the only quarterbacks who's played for more teams is Josh Johnson.
Yeah, he's another guy that's been around since 2011.
Tyrod?
Yeah.
Makes sense. But yeah, he had a nice game, and he had a very solid game, and he continues to look pretty good.
I think DeVito got hurt in the game.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Poor DeVito. Although he did have a completion in this game.
He was 2 for 2 for 14 yards.
Let's go, Danny. Let's go. But one more thing I want to throw out there. Getting back to what I was talking about in the previous week about the roughing the passer call. Did you see this play where the Giants player literally had to carry the fucking kicker for like 5 yards to make sure he didn't flop? That's the state of the NFL we're in now, guys. I hope you're happy, NFL. That's where we are in the league now. Guys are having to go for like
awkward.
Dude, it's so stupid. Like, that's where we're headed, NFL. That's what you're encouraging NFL players to do, is act like soccer players, act like basketball players out here. Going for penalties. Like, you're taking away what makes football great, which is tackles, hits. Like, dude, and like I had people come back and be like, oh, what about CTE? What about this? Yes, terrible. You don't like it, don't play in the NFL. Sorry.
I mean,
I will take all the CTE, dude. Give me millions of dollars. Here for it. Like, I think there's a lot of guys who will take that deal.
Look, it took the NHL a long time to put helmets on them. And Gordie Howe got grandfathered in that he didn't have to wear one. Because, and they asked him why. And he said, why? They were like, why do you wear a cup but not a helmet? He said, you can always get someone to do the thinking for you.
There you go. But no, ultimately, dude, this is what you guys are forcing NFL. You're forcing this kind of bullshit so that they don't have to flop. It's ridiculous.
I'm not anti-player safety.
No, we're not. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying I want everyone to end up like Muhammad Ali, who can't fucking think or talk. But that guy was also in boxing.
Yeah,
it's not like I know everyone's horrified by that Will Smith movie that came out forever ago by concussion. I get it. It is a thing.
But like when you crush into people, it shouldn't turn into like a 15-yard penalty every time.
It's so fucking stupid, dude. It's out of control. It's completely out of control. And this is the product you're getting now, where people are flopping and hoping for penalties.
Here's the thing. The Olympics has flag football. It's going to get popular. That's what we're going to have in 10 years.
I will not be watching, but,
You know what that means?
More rugby. United Football League, more rugby coverage.
I was going to hope rugby to take front center.
Yeah.
I also got on this whole conspiracy about that of, like, if the NFL just goes so downhill because of how they penalize everybody, they should just convert every football team over to a rugby team. You already have 32 stadiums. You already have the cities marked out. Just boom, keep rolling along.
Hey, I do have a quick thing to throw in here about football rugby comparison. You know how like in the end of these games where they gotta go like 70 yards on like one play, and so this whole laddering the ball thing that goes on. Why don't they bring in a rugby expert to be like, guys, this is how you should run that play? Because like I see these NFL players do it, and it just looks terrible. Nobody's supporting, nobody's getting into a proper line, nobody's running with pace. It's a total mess. And like it doesn't have to be that way. And they always fumble it. It's always a mess. Like we saw it one time with like the Tennessee Miracle or one of those plays. It's worked out like maybe a handful of times.
Now, I will admit the one reason it will never work as well in football, even though if you bring the rugby guys in, is there's no offsides for football. Once you start doing that, so you never we won't have a guy come up from behind you and hit you, whereas like you will in football. So
that's true. That's a good point.
Like you never know.
It wouldn't hurt to hey guys, we're in this now. We all got to hop into formation. Maybe take out an offensive lineman. Only have 4 offensive linemen. Get the ball out quick.
And then call back to the beginning of the episode. You can block, so you get the guys out in front. But no, it's a hands drill, 100%.
Yeah.
We see some of these props run with the ball, so big men can have hands. I don't want to hear otherwise.
Right. I think a lot of NFL linemen will be excited about that. So I don't know. I just think like millions of dollars on the line. Why not bring in a rugby expert to teach your boys how to do some backwards passes? Just my opinion. Moving on, NFC West, Rams get it done in a very, very tight game. You mentioned this was also going on during the Packers game. Huge for them. They pull off a 21-20 win. It's kind of funny that both these NFC West games ended up exactly the same score.
That is funny.
But shout out to the Rams. I imagine the 49ers probably sat a lot of their starters for this one.
Both sides did.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I saw Wentz out there. I was like, dude, that's where you are, Wentz. But, Puka Nacua gets a touchdown in this one. I'm not going to lie, Dan, I didn't see this game, so I don't really have a whole lot to say about it.
No, I mean, I saw the highlights of it. I mean, it is what it is. Like we said, a lot of resting. Some guys that didn't get a lot of playing time look good. I mean, Sam Darnold, to a varying degree, sure he had his touchdown, but I know he fumbled the ball as well. He threw, he threw like a 189. So all in all, average day, I would say at best. Same with Carson Wentz, nothing staggering with 163, 2 touchdowns and a pick.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody really caught eyes of anybody there. These are 2 quarterbacks that are trying to have a spot somewhere next year.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know what Sam Darnold's deal was for San Francisco. So I don't know if he's guaranteed to be back next year or not. Or guaranteed in terms of he got a multi-year contract. I know he can get cut, but I would imagine Carson Wentz was a one-and-done deal.
Yeah. And he probably will be done, unfortunately. I do like Carson Wentz, but man, he fell off. Maybe a discussion for a whole nother day, but like, how much of these quarterbacks, like for example, Sam Darnold, Marcus Mariota, we already kind of mentioned, how much is it of these guys just getting out there and just having their confidence absolutely destroyed and just not being able to come back from it? You know, like I'm sure like it's definitely mentioned, but like the quarterback position is so fucking hard in the NFL. And so like when you just get crushed and the media comes after you and, you know, everyone's calling you an absolute piece of trash, like it's got to be hard to come back from that and rally mentally and be able to tell yourself, no, I am a good quarterback. I can make this happen. And God, it's got to be hard after having your confidence just completely crushed.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they did him no favors in New York, the way that they were rotating through staff up there.
Yeah.
If you have as many coordinators and head coaches as he did in your short span up there, you're never going to develop on anybody's staff.
Which is why they shouldn't fire Doug Peterson. Sorry, go ahead.
Which to a degree, I think he got a raw deal in Carolina, honestly.
Yeah, 100%.
I really thought that he was going to get to develop down there, but that just didn't happen. I think he's in a good system in San Francisco. Hopefully he can get the time to play or get good time to learn. But, you know, Carson Wentz, I think, is on his way out. You know, he's been around since 2016. Injury problems, still hasn't, you know, managed through.
Got to be better. Cowboys just absolutely destroyed the Commanders, and Ron Rivera's final probably his final coaching gig in the NFL, head coaching gig in the NFL, if I had to guess. What do you think, Dan? Probably going to be a defense coordinator somewhere, but I can't see this guy being the head coach again.
Yeah, I mean, just have to wait and see. You know, who knows? He could end up in a front office somewhere. He's old. He's older, so who knows if he wants to still coach. But yeah, at this point, wouldn't be surprised if he became a coordinator for a couple of years before he tries out again. But just have to see who has openings on teams, and you know what? Maybe someone's going to take a gamble on him.
Could be.
Now this game did start out a little better than I thought because it was kind of back and forth. You know, Dallas scored, then Washington came back with 10 unanswered, and then all hell broke loose after that.
Apparently.
So
CeeDee Lamb just continues to do his thing, man. Holy cow.
Yeah, you know, Pollard, good game out of him. Dak,
finally.
4 touchdowns. So, you know.
Pollard had 4 touchdowns?
No, Dak had 4 touchdowns.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
No,
but, you know, they did what they needed to do to, you know, they had to win the division. You know, sure, the Eagles were not doing what they needed to do. But, you know, they took care of it. I think we'll have our hands full next week, but we'll see what happens.
Kind of talking about quarterbacks losing their confidence. Sam Howell, man, strong start to the season and just completely fell apart these last, 6 to 7 weeks or so. And that's going to hurt a young quarterback going forward.
Yeah, I hope they stick with him, though.
Me too.
I really want them to promote Bieniemy.
They should.
He does great work. He does great work. So, you know, give him a good offseason with Howell.
Yeah.
Maybe we see things turn around.
Maybe. Final game of the slate. Buffalo Bills take care of business against the Miami Dolphins. Kind of a back and forth on this one. Another team that's kind of fallen apart in these last couple of weeks, the Miami Dolphins, just, I don't know, man. Rough go of it going into the playoffs here, and now they got to travel to Arrowhead against another team that's kind of struggling a little bit in the Chiefs, but I would argue the Dolphins are struggling more, especially since they can't seem to beat anybody who's actually good at football.
Yeah, you know, this was another team, much like Jacksonville, where, like, you can, you know, I was convinced they were going to win the division. They were looking so good for so long.
So good.
And then, you know, they, you know, lost to the Titans, lost to the Ravens, lost to the Bills, and that's what did them in. You know, so, you know, who knows? I don't know what went wrong down there. I know they had a couple injuries here and there. I think more than people came back, though. So we'll see what happens. But, you know.
Now, I've heard a couple different things about this, and I could be wrong. But from my understanding,
doesn't look comfortable in the pocket.
He does not.
And, you know, he was missing marks here and there. So, you know, we'll have to see what happens. You know, Mostert was out again. that's a tough piece to have out.
And him and A-Chain, neither one of them could stay healthy, apparently.
Yeah, and A-Chain did play in the game, and he had moments early on that it looked like he was going to have a strong game, and then just kind of flatlined. I think he kind of got his 56 yards really fast, and then that was kind of about it.
Yeah, and so like I said, I've heard a couple different reports about this. So I could be wrong, but I believe Mike Evans and Tyreek Hill tied for the most touchdowns in the NFL this year from a receiver position. And this is the first year that Mike Evans has finished number one in a receiver category, which apparently was the big knock on him. Oh, he's never finished number one in any receiver category. Well, now he has, motherfuckers. First ballot Hall of Famer. Anyway, I also saw an amusing comment that Mike Evans could beat Tyreek Hill in a chase in a foot race if Mike Evans was on a bike. Motorcycle might have been. Either way, funny little comment I saw out there. But yeah, the Dolphins are struggling here. Bills, just doing Bills things, man. They came back. They've been up and down this year, but they've turned it on. And those last
tried to write them off.
Tried and failed because now they've won their division again.
I think something interesting though that could come out of this is if they take care of Pittsburgh, Kansas City wins, Kansas City goes to Buffalo.
Interesting.
And that will be the first road game for Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, not including Super Bowls.
Will be interesting. That'll be an interesting little stretch there.
And remember, just a couple weeks ago, the Bills beat the Chiefs 20-17 in Arrowhead. So, I think going up to Buffalo might be a little interesting for them.
Absolutely. And the big meltdown game for Patrick Mahomes. People remember it. Well, anyway, both of us are getting a little tired here, so we're going to have to wrap this up, boys. We got one more thing to cover before we let you find people at Sports by Compian and get out of here, and that is the United Football League is back, baby. They have officially merged with the USFL. We may have mentioned it before. We have talked about it on our merger game video. Go back and watch that to see the boys calling out the future, because that's what we do. We're future seers. Future seers.
So
we see the future.
So what something I get why they did it, but I'm not truthfully a huge fan of it, is you do your USFL conference, your XFL conference, and yes, we are aware that the Houston Roughnecks was an XFL team, and then in the USFL conference, what had happened is they technically took the Houston Gamblers, but then applied the assets of the Roughnecks to the Gamblers, but it's the same coaches, players, as the Gamblers. So, and their big their big reasoning behind it was, look, the Roughnecks played in Houston. They have that presence in Houston already.
They were better than the Gamblers for sure.
They're better than So I'm behind. It makes sense. But I get why they did it. It kind of poses that whole USFL versus XFL thing. Even though today they had their dispersal draft of all teams not included in the merger at this point. They obviously retained the naming and all that of the 8 other teams, or really 7 other teams that didn't get picked up at this point. So I'm sure if they expand, they could use those names again. But I would have much rather seen flipping Houston and DC. So you have, Arlington, St. Louis, San Antonio, and Houston as like a South division, and do Birmingham, DC, Memphis, Michigan as a North, or whatever you want to call it. Just geographically would have worked better. That's just my opinion. And who knows, like I said, if they expand, when they expand, they will obviously have to redo all this anyway. So this just could be a short-term thing. But what we do know at this point is season does kick off March 30th with the Birmingham Stallions taking on the Arlington Renegades. So USFL champion versus XFL champion. I believe that game will be in Arlington. So the schedule, I believe, is supposed to come out in February, if I read correctly, but could be sooner. So a lot of information is going to be coming out about all that, and we'll get a better firm idea of when to expect. But in our expansion video that we did talk about for both leagues, and a possible merger of what they could do. They, as you could see with that March 30th, they pushed the season back a couple weeks for what the XFL was and bumped up what would have been the USFL season. So, just kind of wait and see what happens. But I'm excited. I'm not against this idea of a merger.
No.
As you can see, every team that's still existing were all the teams that had a home stadium, at least in the USFL side.
Oh, okay.
At least in the USFL side.
Okay.
Because XFL all played in their own markets, but Birmingham was a host city, Memphis was a host city, Michigan was a host city. So they dropped Canton, Ohio, for Houston because they had the Houston contract for the XFL side.
Gotcha.
So, but now, granted, what I have read is Houston did play at the University of Houston. They're doing renovations, so apparently they're eyeing up Rice for their home stadium this year. So We'll see. But all in all, excited. I think I'm going to get season tickets myself down at the Defenders. But just be happy that they were able to figure this out. And I think, interestingly enough, a lot of people with the merger, again, I don't care. But I feel like a lot of people were like, oh, the XFL has to merge into the USFL. But it was the XFL's page. They got its name changed to USFL or UFL. And like the branding still kind of looks like XFL in a way.
It definitely does. I mean, the Rockers was obviously a bigger promoter, and
again, I don't care. So. I mean, Daryl Johnson, one of the.
I always thought their graphics and just the overall look of the XFL always looked a little cleaner and cooler than the USFL anyway.
Yeah, so I think one thing that'll be interesting to see, and they're going to work on announcing, is what rules of both sides are they going to keep? Are they going to get rid of? Because some of the rules are a little different, because you can obviously do point after attempts in the USFL, but you couldn't in the XFL. So I'm curious to see what they decide to keep, what they don't decide to keep. But fingers crossed. Like I said, always push for everybody being in their own markets. And a lot of these USFL markets were relatively strong, especially Birmingham. So I think they get the right pieces in, and we'll see what the next couple of years look like.
Agreed. So it's going to be an interesting year. Very much looking forward to our spring league coverage. Stay tuned for pick'ems, for Sports by Compian, covering all that good stuff for you people. Please continue to like and support our content. We really appreciate it. Our subscribers have really been flying up, guys, and we appreciate the heck out of that. Thank you so much for continuing to support our program. Dan, any final words for the people here of Sports by Compian?
Let's get ready for a fun playoff weekend, and drop your picks on our video in a couple of days.
And I have one thing to add real quick, people, a little off note of sports. Keep your word out there. Don't be liars. Don't be two-faced weirdos, especially to your friends and to people who may think they're your friend. Just have some fucking integrity out there, people. No more nonsense. We live in a very polarizing time, especially with the election coming up this year. Don't let it all get to you. Just continue to be the person you are. Don't engage in all the bullshit that's going to be taking place over social media this year. Probably talk to myself a little bit here too, Dan. But overall, people, stay cool. Stay frosty. Don't listen to all the bullshit. Continue to enjoy life. We're living in a good time right now. There's a lot of cool sports out there, so continue to enjoy it. Sports by Compian will be here to help you enjoy it. And also, Dan, we're out.